Spring came unprecedented early, back in March, drowning snow from the lawn around the house, and in April the earth was already dry. High dense grass stretched to the sky. Fyodor Mikhailovich lived here for the 5th year, but did not get tired of wondering how difficult nature was. There is a forest billowing 100 meters. There is knee-deep snow, only blackened, and near his cottage on the edge, there is a violet Malahite celebration from under the ground out. The dragonfly flashed its wings in the sun, beauty having cleaned the covered stone brazier in the courtyard. Fedor laid down the logs he squeezed, looking at the morning April sunshine. The sky is clear, not a cloud. Opened, he brought a bowler and fixed it on a hook under the roof of the barbecue. He added water. Earlier, he would have immediately dragged him full of the well, but now the back is not the same. It is easier to make another walker than to wave with your lower back later. He inhaled cool, clear air and thought that vodka would be good for meat stew. It seems that there is a bottle left in the refrigerator. We need to go check. There was an amazing crystal silence around, which was broken only by rare chugs, chatting about themselves, about their pernat. There is no such beauty anywhere. Who else should not know him? Fyodor saw a lot of land until he took root here. I saw a lot of people through life into various alterations until, finally, I came here. He built a 2-story house near the forest, from the village away, closer to nature. Local at first were against. Ecologists, there are all sorts, activists, but they found a common language and left Fyodor Mikhailovich alone. The stock boiled. Fedor pulled out the meat and carried it into the winter kitchen, washed with cold water, took out thick veins. This is not farm meat for you. Here is nature, natural product. Strictly speaking, it was possible to cook stew in the house. There was enough space. There is gas in the cylinders, but I wanted on the street for nothing. Is there such a soulful Russian spring in the yard? A small black cat rubbed against a leg, begging for a piece. Yesterday I nailed "See the village." Fedor did not protest. Maybe someone, then they will come. Ask if they have seen, and he saw. He will invite him, set tea or something else. Do you know what a person needs for happiness? The cat with the throat swallowed away sections of meat and went to warm up on the lawn. You can immediately see that the animal knows how to live. Fyodor Mikhailovich also loved and knew how to live. At first, back and forth, looking for himself, tormented. And then I found it, and lived life at least harshly, but cheerfully, and that the head after concussion pulls on the weather, and the knee hurts after jumping from the armored personnel carrier, then everything is empty. But what a house has died off, a respected person now. The whole Rostov region knows. He poured the broth into the second bowler, sprinkled the meat in, while it reached, cut the potatoes, carrots, onion, greens again. Many do not understand why parsley with dill is needed, but laurel leaf on top. But Fyodor Mikhailovich understood in spices and pepper. For example, Mol itself made mixtures. Meat does not always taste good. Sometimes you need to shade or interrupt. There is nowhere without grass, and when I threw greens into the bowler, I heard someone break through the fence. Not here, on the other side of the house. Fyodor Mikhailovich was even confused for a second, for nothing that he was experienced. However, the cat helped out, immediately sniffed into the house. Well, Fetter is behind him, just locked, and the bear already stuck out his muzzle from around the corner to see the smell came. A mad beast, albeit thin. There is nothing to eat in the forest. That's mischievous. As soon as the 2-meter fence was enough to overcome, the gun directly in a corridor stood at a hanger. At first sight it is also not visible. The fur coat closes, but I put a hand and a double-barreled gun in hands. It is possible to continue a conversation with the guest without understanding the fraction good British Nuliavaska, but against a bear even with such as better not to leave, well him to hell. The animal surveyed a brazier meanwhile, brought down a kettle on the earth and recoiled from steam which escaped to the sky. Here also ate outdoors. The evil Fyodor thought, now wait until this devil gets away to the forest, and it still if wants to climb through a fence again and can remain. Strictly speaking, in the house I was available cellular, and the network caught regularly. It is possible to click help, only it red tape what? Fyodor Mikhailovich long ago at policeman in mind. There lives, strange to nobody, neither the godfather nor the matchmaker, who began to set questions. Into the house we'll get. There is nothing to sniff out him here. With peak caps of efforts you won't be robbed. It is better to wait and look how we'll be farther. The cat mewed behind the back, and in his full voice the approval seemed to Fyodor. The bear ate meat directly from a grass and began to survey vicinities. I picked up a trail of the person, and already at a door it is scraped. The devil forest. A good door in the house, expensive, from a fat oak, with small windows from armored glass, and light gets into the hall. And who will knock out horseradish in one of these muddy glasses now toptage in a bad weak-sighted eye. Also looked, no, just like that the animal won't leave. Having sigh, Fyodor estimated that needs to be tittied up before arrival of police. Permission to a gun is perfectly cut so just won't find to it is good. Here hulks in the basement. Already article, and is no place to put them. A fast pace he went down to the basement and locked a door on all 3 locks. It became easier. High irritated soul, Fyodor thought, and what for? Cops in general shouldn't poke into the house. An animal in the yard. The pack of rubles on such case is available too. The entrance door moaned from unexpectedly heavy blow. The bear began to roar. In a roar of the following blow, the plaintive glass ring was already heard. I will kill, Fyodor thought, an elastic step rising back by the first floor. I will ride to this firm, and I will kill all for armored glass and a strong door. And I will better take out to the forest, and I will tie to a tree that their bears devoured. The door kept so far, but one of windows was squeezed out inside, and now the bear endeavored to put a paw in a hole. The stained glass frames, made of metal strong by sight, caved in under weight of animal ink. Having scented the person, the animal roared and again pulled hard on a door. Having brought down already all stained glass block, the hole still was insufficient that the creature got inside. But Fyodor already understood to what he goes and lifted a gun. Accustomed to firing, I didn't retire to the background when the gun fired on a creature a doublet, rejected a bear from a door back to the yard, and Fyodor was recharged at once. The buckshot damaged a door box, and it is impossible to leave an entrance unguarded already. What that fraction to a bear means. To go for phone, it won't turn out. It's somewhere in kitchen, and a door, well, absolutely Lepenki there. No, it is necessary to hold the fort here. In a corridor it can, and to the best it was thought to Fyodor. He didn't like to contact any representatives of the authorities since reckless youth. When in search of long ruble I traveled about on the world, with automatic machine, cops they and in Africa cops. Without speaking already about Syria, it is simpler to prepare from top Dajan. Knew the bear rushed on a door again. Fyodor shot, blood and chips scattered extensively, and the creature failed on a floor. Having finally broken a barrier, there was no time left. It was necessary to recede on kitchen, to call and if don't arrive, the ill fame of Fyodor followed him. Maybe nobody will arrive. The animal began to rise. He looked bad. Blood flowed from head and breast wounds, and I followed. But the woolen large object wasn't given. Again the cat who slipped on a ladder upward helped out. Precisely, Fyodor remembered, the hatch on a roof is open. This he finished thinking about a thought already, on the run, running up a ladder. The bear rushed afterwards, and it was necessary to fire on him. Still a volley, this time unsuccessful. The fraction went to a wall. Having torn expensive wallpaper and having broken photos in which Fyodor, with Nikolay Petrovichum, posed at first at air base, then near the battered armored personnel carrier, and then in the place so secret that for this photo it is possible to get bigger penal than for all hulks in the basement. He was in time. I flew on the second floor. I ran to the bedroom, feeling for myself the concentrated angry puffing, and hearing his long claws stick into expensive parquet. I climbed up a short flight of stairs to the hatch, and I took off on a roof. Well, the horizontal bar didn't forget. Even I wasn't out of breath. The slam hatch got Fyodor from an Oskaleny mouth, and he with relief turned a latch. Hal felt that the external lock sometime is useful, though why so to think? Here then, intuition from below strong thumped. But whether the bear didn't have enough forces anymore, whether was inconvenient. However, Fyodor realized at once, the hatch will sustain. From simplification, even I burst out laughing in a voice. This time death was selected to close. As for a long time it didn't happen, but it is still insufficiently close. Now it was necessary to sit with a cat in an embrace, and to wait until the creature bleeds profusely, or accurately to go down on a grass and to give a diora. Keys from gate at him in a pocket, and here cartridges came to an end, so the thought of escape seemed tempting. Fyodor Mikhailovich grunted, and all not the bow already, from a bear cheering to give, but became straight, examining the yard, like, where it is possible to go down there is more silent, yes, far away from an entrance. The yard was full of people, for parties surrounded, and as one looked upward on Fyodor, that swallowed, having snatched out a looking crowd, familiar faces. It seems all came here in general awe. City, the tourist with whom he got acquainted in the first year. Fyodor well remembered that day. Met on a footpath, talked, walked. She hinted that not against too oversleep. He presented a huge aspen mushroom. Business at for evening dinner with continuation. But Fyodor changed the mind, and directly in the forest smashed to the woman the head of stone, the boy who was looking for the runaway goat. I came 3 years ago in the same in Watan, now a t-shirt and a red dot, shorts with a bloody tear, Fyodor out Brekatsia hard lay from rural that time, a fist and a breast I bang. I didn't see your boy didn't trust. Even in there it was necessary to fire to frighten. And then a month more with a gun to sleep, to put cameras on a fence, and why soldiers, regulars from the countries where young Fedka rolled in business trips were secured. At them everything was just honest. He and them scorched, they and him. What questions in general? Here that sneer sharpening. Guba and Nikolay Petrovich came. Those on business. Very much Fyodor, when he was written off for mischief in business trips, research it. Then I tracked down all and interrupted. From the dead I lifted so many that was enough both for the house and for the new passport. Then an understanding came that all in this world is possible, if intelligently in total, but with children, yes, with children clear, no doubt. Badly at companions to rat and to shoot at a back. On the other hand, it was differently more necessary to Fyodor, and before the machine operator from the neighboring area, who the day before yesterday came to buy the tractor. Indeed, there was some shame, sorry. The mobster, mentally whispered Fyodor Mikhailovich. To speak aloud for some reason quailed, to no purpose. You died. I didn't try you. Only the cat has a bite, and all in vain. Cat, the thought, a Katishka flashed. What will you advise? When not you, I and here wasn't. Let's think further. A tomcat maliciously I licked lips. I jumped on a chimney. I contracted in the spring. I made a start, and I soared up into the sky, a black comet, above, already above the trees growing on the edge of the wood. Even higher, Fyodor Mikhailovich watched its muddy with hatred leaves, the woolen reptile, specially here enticed. Neither cartridges, nor phone now, moo, shaggy as below rummaged. Also these were secured, the sky maliciously mewed, floating, and a spiteful celebration seemed to Fyodor Mikhailovich in this sound. He shook the fist at the sky. Fyodor heard how the bear roams about the house, judging by a roar. Clumsy at first I carried the bedroom in chips. Then I moved to the living room where continued fuss. However, this fuss accepted other character. Fyodor heard how something similar in monosyllables, rattles on glass and pieces of iron tinkle. Baumsvyak, what it? He till at time didn't understand, dumbfounded and denounced. People stood and stared at him, as there is a lot of them. Nobody uttered a sound, though, to be fair, not everyone and could. The grandmother taught to prepare bold language of Fyodor. It in good days when the grandmother was Dobra. And I didn't thrash a Didovi belt. I didn't smother a package for two or wet bed. Remembering grandmother's science, Fyodor tried not to miss an opportunity to regale on a uvula, and in general, I remembered. Oh, and the grandmother came too, and as soon as back-sewed legs, he threw out them kilometers in 5 from a body. Well, monkey, Baumsvyak. Fyodor Mikhailovich at last understood. Then the bear in the dining room is engaged in such interesting, lays at table. The sun was above the head, but the star is very pale. Why the grass round the house seemed faded, lifeless. Birds stopped, and though wind ceased too, Fyodor heard how in the forest the first spring leaflets shiver. On the first floor barely audible punched hours, midday. At this time it usually sat down to have dinner. Here and today would settle with a soup bowl. would get vodka as the normal person, a glass too, a glass later. Slowly, without special haste, people stretched to the house. All lacked the place in the doorway, got into windows. The window lattices unbent by strong hands of dead persons moaned. Here to jump down and to chestnut a hare to the village. 3 kilometers T not 30 will reach. But fed Kenny dead persons turn out very much that a half got into the house at most, and the others still watched outside. In desperation, he put his hands around his head. Okay, let's put them through the hatch. But what to do with the windows? What should I do? What to do? All the same, without fuss, the dead knocked out the windows of the second floor, pulled out the bars, and climbed onto the roof from all sides. For some reason, Fyodor Mikhailovich was most worried at that moment that the poor bear had done a bad job, and no one would need these spoon forks. He will be ripped up with his hands. Somehow it was the most hurtful thing. Not human somehow.